All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions. It's the last part of our Sid series. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's get into this. This has some good notes for him and some unfortunate moments for him.
Yeah,
The Millennium Man, Sid. Now, for whatever reason, the hiatus or whatever he did after he left WWE, probably healing all his wounds, he resurfaces in 1999 after he did do some a year on the independent circuit.
yeah.
Not a whole lot, but here and there. He signed with ECW in January of '99, which shocked a lot of people. But it was his way to pretty much get his foot back in the door. He fought wrestlers such as the Dudley Boys, Justin Credible, John Kronos, Skull Von Crush, just to name a few. He did do a couple of their pay-per-views in '99. He left ECW in May, so he didn't stick around for long. It was due to monetary problems within the company.
Yeah, they
Pretty much,
couldn't afford him. They couldn't afford him.
exactly
That's the long story short of that.
that, and well, yeah, that was just pretty much it.
Yeah, they
Paul
couldn't afford
Heyman,
him. So,
unfortunately, Paul Heyman has a tremendous wrestling mind. He can make anybody into a main eventer, but when it comes to the business part of it, unfortunately, he didn't
nope,
have it.
nope.
And that quote comes from guys like Tommy Dreamer, Lance Storm, and Stevie Richards, who have said that. So, in any event, now he goes after discussions with real life friends Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Sid returned to WCW in June of 1999, and boy, did they need the help from him. But by this point, WCW is starting to get their butt kicked in the
Yeah,
ratings.
it was already starting to.
You're looking at a 6.0 to a 4.1, which is still a tremendous 10 million people watching
Right.
wrestling every week, which is awesome. But it's favoring WWE more with the Attitude Era. And so he he came back at the Great American Bash, joining Randy Savage's Team Madness heel
Hmm.
stable, which I like the two of them together for a little bit, but nothing lasts in WCW. Sid took the nickname the Millennium Man, which I thought was cool considering the year
Yeah,
2000
it was on its
was
way.
approaching, and he was back to kind of looking like Sid. If you noticed, he got a little bit more not Sid Justice look, but he still
Yeah, he
looked
was
in
in good shape.
shape.
Yeah.
So Sid faced WCW champion Kevin Nash on July 5th, '99 on Nitro. He was dubbed as an undefeated, having a win streak, much like Goldberg's. They were kind of doing this now.
Yeah.
Uh, on September, it never works.
I think he actually loses during this streak too. I could be wrong, but I
Who
think
Sid?
yeah, I think during his winning streak he actually loses.
And they
And
still
they
counted it
just,
as a
yeah,
win.
they still, WCW was a mess.
I think that was on Thunder, if I'm not
It was
mistaken.
something. I can't remember. This is 20 something years ago.
Thanks, you just made me feel young.
Mm.
In any event, on September 12th, '99, Sid won the U.S. title for the first time and only time by beating Chris Benoit at Fall Brawl. His next feud after that was Goldberg, who challenged for the U.S. title at Halloween Havoc. And earlier in the evening, they had a backstage fight that actually required Sid to need some stitches, though he refused. Whether this was storyline, I don't think this was storyline. I don't know. It's kind of hard to find. Again, like you said, 20 something years later, whether this was a real life altercation or whatnot. This is anybody's guess. It's actually led to Sid bleeding openly the entire night, even into his
Yeah, I
match.
remember. Yeah, I
And
remember
he wound
that.
up losing to Goldberg in this match. Now, at the next pay per view, which was is my favorite in WCW, and I've told you this, Mayhem, the night that Benoit and
Hmm.
Brent fought in Toronto. This was their best pay per view, and if they could have copied off of this night going forward, they might have still survived because this was a really good card. At Mayhem, Sid lost again to Goldberg in an I Quit match. This was the only match I didn't agree with. An I Quit match between these two.
Yeah,
This ended the feud. It was pretty much over and done with. Sid got no victory against Goldberg. So here we
it
go.
sounded great. It sounded great on paper.
Now this is where what you just mentioned. This is where the streak lost. But if you rewind a little bit, what we just said, he lost at
Yeah.
whatchamacallit.
Ma'am?
No, not Mayhem. He lost to Goldberg in a match. on Nitro. No, I'm sorry, Halloween Havoc. He lost that night, but yet you just said the streak
Yeah,
continued.
yeah.
So I'm corrected. It wasn't Thunder, but it was Halloween Havoc. But they said the streak ended at Mayhem. So there you go. You were right.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
This is WCW, baby. So now going forward, Sid, and I feel bad for the guy because every time he comes back with this huge momentum, he's on these huge losing streaks. Because here we go again at Starrcade. He loses a powerbomb match to none other than Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
So it's like this poor guy cannot catch a break
I
whatsoever.
don't know. I don't know what they were.
I feel bad for the man. I really do. All the talent in the world. He can definitely be a champion. And this all happens to him. It's just unbelievable. So now it's going into 2000 after the Millennium Man gimmick ran dry, which after going into 2000, of course it was going to run dry. Sid became a fan favorite and started contending for the WCW Championship. At Sold Out in January, Sid fought Chris Benoit for the vacated title due to Bret Hart's injury.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, Sid lost the match and Benoit became the champion, but then there's a whole side story to this.
Yeah.
That on one side, it's been told that Kevin Sullivan was the booker and refused to acknowledge Benoit as the champion.
That's not true.
I know. I'm just saying there's one side of it. Because of their real life heat over Sullivan's ex-wife.
But he's the one who pushed to put the belt on him. He said he deserved it. Put the belt on him. Sid didn't want to put him over, and eventually, he had no choice. But he thought
because Sullivan had said, "This is the way we're going with it," and then that rumor came out, which I thought was ludicrous because even though they had their personal heat, Sullivan didn't let it affect the business.
No, Benoit was leaving already. That was the problem. It was too late. Benoit had already made up his mind. He was out of there.
They were hoping that putting the title on him at the pay-per-view would have kept him around. He said,
"No, I'm still
gone." Mm-hmm. If they did this a month prior when he fought Bret Hart, then maybe around that time, then maybe Benoit stays. So in any event, the title was vacated yet again. The next day when Benoit left for WWE, the on-screen explanation was Sid's foot was under the rope.
Yeah,
and I laughed when I saw this. I think this was the last time I really watched Nitro. Was when I heard about this, about Sid's foot being under the rope during the submission loss. And I'm like, clearly it wasn't. And I'm like, now you guys are just reaching and you're throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it sticks. It's just getting ridiculous.
Russo.
Seriously, man. So the following week, Sid was presented with a challenge by new WCW Commissioner Kevin Nash. Gotta love the positions this man kept. If Sid could beat the Harris brothers that night on Nitro, he would face Nash for the title. Sid beat the Harris brothers and then Nash to win the WCW Championship. So once again, he is champion. And this was just pretty much, it was not the culmination of their feud, but a feud that was over for the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, and poor Sid, man. Remember that promo where Sid comes out and says, "I only have half the brain you have," or something like that?
Yeah, he did. That was a couple of months prior, right around Mayhem.
I think it was might have been on a Nitro. I don't remember. It was one of them. Nitro Thunder, one of them.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then he was dressed up. He had the Sid, like the jaw, like Kevin Nash was making fun of Sid, and oh god, poor Sid.
I haven't seen an idiotic promo like that since Scott Steiner's one in TNA when he's talking to Kurt Angle about you have now 33 and a 30% chance of beating me, which I have a 66 and 2/3, and the person giving them like, are you for real?
And Sid was money on the mic. Sid was good on the mic. I don't know what happened.
Except this night, I don't know. I think maybe he was too into it, and
I think
because he realized he screwed it up.
Right.
Once he did it, because I have half the brain as you, and then he had to pause for a minute, and unfortunately they're live and they couldn't edit.
And then he years later he turned around and said, "Oh, I did that on purpose" or something like that. He did.
Yeah, I don't think so. You could tell clearly in his face that he realized he screwed up, and there was no taking it back.
Yeah.
Guys in the production crew are going, "Oh no, you just didn't do that."
No. That was WCW back then.
If it could happen, if you don't think it'll happen, give WCW a minute.
Yep.
In any event, 2 nights later, Nash strips Sid of the title. So here we go with the feud still going on. Because, of course, Nash is, if he's not Booker, if he's not Commissioner, if he's doing one of them, he's going to keep putting the belt on himself, which I didn't agree with. because he's the reason why the Goldberg streak ended too, because he was the booker, and he booked himself into the title match and books himself into winning it. So
yeah, but at this point, I don't even know if it was booking. I think it was just Russo, right? At that point,
it was Russo with. Well, remember these guys also had that creative control.
I mean, I'm sure he had some influence. I mean, but I mean, it's just a mess. It's just Russo's there and Kevin
By 2000,
Nash,
it's a freaking nightmare.
I don't even know if Russo's booking. I get the whole timeline gets all screwed up with me. I don't know.
They like in the late 80s where you always had different people running it. By this point, you had different people in charge. One week it was Nash, next week was Funk. Then Bischoff might be there for a weekend and might give it a shot, and then it's back to Nash.
Because they send Russo away for a while, then he comes back.
They brought him back around Spring Stampede.
Yeah, it's chaotic.
Because remember they shut WCW down for 2 weeks, which I thought was a huge mistake, and then they stripped everybody of the titles.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and I remember getting this pay-per-view Spring Stampede because they were advertising kind of like AEW does now with all the talent. They said we're gonna have a surge of talent coming in, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me watch this and see if they're gonna be a threat again. The only guy that showed up that night was Mike Awesome, and I wasted my $40 because this pay-per-view was garbage because it was now the New Blood versus the Billionaires Club, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And Hogan's fighting Kidman.
So he gets stripped. What happened? I'm confused.
Yeah, I know we're totally off base here. It happens. Nash strips Sid of the title due to he didn't beat the legal Harris brother in the match. So here we go with this garbage again. A rematch had Sid beating Nash and becoming a two-time WCW champion. At Super Brawl 10, he successfully defended against Scott Hall and Jeff Jarrett with the title.
Oh,
now it's your boy. It's your boy.
Broke 6,000 guitars, never drew a dime.
Never gets old. And we can always plug these in no matter what wrestler we're doing. They've always had a Jeff Jarrett experience. At Uncensored, Sid defended his title against Jeff Jarrett and won. Because remember, Jarrett went there with all these promises from him, like, you're going to be our champion. We're not going to do to you like as Jim Ross said, I don't see you as champion. We're never going to make you it. So, and he should have never been. In any event, the next night on Nitro, it was Sid and Hulk Hogan versus Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner. During the match, Sid turned on Hogan again. Because the fans were chanting Hogan's name. Oh, Jesus. Does this sound like 8 years prior that they're trying to rekindle here? To me, it does. This was the setup for Hogan versus Sid Vicious at Spring Stampede. Unfortunately, WCW began its New Blood angle, and all champions were stripped of the titles. And this match I would actually like to see for the WCW title. Unfortunately, I have a feeling I know which direction they would have gone in. So Sid was not used to the angle and was kept off TV for several months. They didn't use him during that whole tournament thing, so it's like another disappearing act. He returned to challenge Scott Steiner for the WCW title at Starrcade, but failed to win it. So going into 2001, he was involved in the January 14th pay-per-view Sin. Steiner defended against Sid, Jeff Jarrett, and Road Warrior Animal. During the match, Sid suffered a near career-ending injury. Now, it was the powers that be in WCW, but later it was John Laurinaitis that felt that Sid needed to broaden his arsenal of wrestling moves and suggested he try an aerial maneuver despite his unwillingness to do so. Okay, several things are wrong with this. Number one, you're 7 foot tall. Number two, you're 300 pounds. You do not belong on the top rope. And I remember this match and this move. He attempted either it was a big boot off the top rope or a one-legged drop kick. Either way,
the big boot.
That leg snapped in half. And it was just
gruesome. Oh
my God. If anybody has watched this match, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm sure it's on YouTube or it's on Peacock. Just look at the WCW pay-per-view Sin. The funny part about this is, and it's not really funny, is Scott Steiner keeps hitting him. He's down with his leg the way it is, and Scott Steiner's still hitting him. And the referee's even looking at him going, what the hell are you doing? So it was during the match that he suffered a leg fracture following his leap from the second turnbuckle. He landed awkwardly. He broke it. He broke his leg in half, snapping both the tibia and the fibia, and the bone sticking out through the skin. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't want to get too into it because I know I can see the look on your face and my stomach's starting to turn. Because again, I watched this live and I couldn't believe it.
I don't know why he didn't tell Laurinaitis no. I think Sid ends up saying that the reason why he didn't say no is because he was already kind of injured and there was a lot of stuff he couldn't do, so he didn't want to say no. So he just tried. I guess I don't know, man. Either way, that was.
At this point, he's tapping 40 years old. His career's winding down. He's a 7-foot guy, 300 pounds.
Yeah,
you do not belong on the top rope. I'm sorry.
Bad move. Yeah, they ended up putting like a metal rod or metal rods in his leg. Right, it was bad. He didn't wrestle for years after this, and he never came back to the big stage. Like really, like as far as.
And to make matters worse, even though it was extremely graphic, Nitro kept replaying it the following night.
I remember that. Yeah.
So that's where I must have thought in my head. Because I do remember, I did get all 3 pay-per-views for WCW in 2001. Don't ask me why.
Right.
I was getting both of them. I really don't know why. And I guess that's where I thought in my head that I seen it on Nitro because they kept showing it.
Yeah.
But it was, oh my God.
Talk about bad luck, man. Talk about bad luck.
And what's funny is this rewrote the plot for Super Brawl Revenge that year. It was supposed to be Nash, DDP, and Sid versus Scott Steiner, Jeff Jarrett, and Road Warrior Animal.
Mm-hmm.
Nash versus Steiner was booked instead, and with 1 year left on his contract, WWE then purchased WCW. He didn't wrestle again until 2004 on the independent circuit.
Yeah, but
it took him over 3 years to get back from that. And brother, I commend you because something like that, I never thought he'd get back in the ring again. I mean, WWE did a couple of spots with them over the years.
Yeah,
but he never got in the ring.
No. He did something. It was on like a Raw anniversary, and he had like a little 3-minute thing. But that was like in 2012, I think, much later on. He always tried to get back into the business too. WWE just wouldn't. I guess they didn't want to be liable.
I mean, he's probably like 44.
Yeah.
He had extensive surgeries, numerous surgeries on that leg. A steel rod put in there. I mean, I guess they did. Yeah, they didn't want to take the gamble, and I can't say I blame them. Really, no. I mean, the best he's going to get now is the independent. So it's just unfortunate that happened to him and that Laurinaitis pushed him enough to do it. I mean, that just shows what kind of idiot Laurinaitis is. And no disrespect to Road Warrior Animal's brother, but well, the hell with it. It's disrespect.
No, that was crazy. That was a bad idea. He ended up suing. I don't know if he won or not. I don't remember.
I think it was settled. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it was settled out of court. What a shame of a career though, because Sid had everything, man. I mean, other than he wasn't a great technical wrestler, but that's fine. He was a big man. Yeah. Sid was a monster, man. He was over. He was a great heel. He had a great look. He just either he wasn't disciplined enough to, really focus in, and then the injuries on top of it. It was just. Everything just
jinxed.
Yeah.
And I've said that about several wrestlers in the business over the years that just unfortunate stuff like Magnum TA, Draws, even though they're not on the same level, but still Sid. I mean, it just kept happening to him. Like the dark cloud was always over him as far as injuries.
And he must have pissed somebody off because he's not in the Hall of Fame.
And I think he did enough to get in there.
He deserves it.
Considering some of the resumes of the
look at some of the bums. Look at some of the bums that are in the Hall of Fame. Jeff Jarrett. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
That's it right there.
That's it.
I think his resume warrants it. I really do.
He'll get in eventually, but I don't know. I guess he must have. I know he had something happen with the Horsemen. I don't know if he was supposed to go in with the Horsemen, and no. I'm sorry. He was supposed to be on the Horseman DVD. I don't want to get sidetracked. But I think he didn't want to be on the Horseman DVD because he was like, no, I want to come back and wrestle. And I think Flair hates him too. So there was something that happened. I don't know. Either way, he's not in the whole point is he's not in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
He does.
We got to get
So does Vader.
We got to get
let's just drop that in there too.
Yeah, Vader should be in there too. Vader
I
should
think
be
both of them should be in that.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
and again, not to get sidetracked, but I think before his untimely death, God rest his soul, they should have put him in before him, and they didn't.
Yeah,
So both of those men deserve to be in there.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's the career of Sid. Unfortunately, we ended it on a down note, but
And a graphic down note.
yeah, but no, Sid had a great career though. All things considered, he started a great career. He still belongs in the Hall of Fame. So, you guys, let us know what you think about Sid. Who do we got coming up next? That's right, the man, the best in the world,
the pipe bomb expert.
Yep.
I love those pipe bombs of his. I thought they were awesome, especially that famous one in 2011. CM Punk. We're going to cover his WWE career from 2006 till his unfortunate departure in 2014. No, I will not talk about his AEW run because he's still doing it. So, but yeah, we will get into CM Punk next.
All right, so you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. See you guys soon.
Take care, guys.